Hey guys, we're going to take notes today. It's going to be over the 10 body systems that we've been learning about. Okay, so on a clean paper, let's put the date, put today's date. And for your title, you can put 10 body systems or the 10 organ systems. Remember, we're working at the organ system level on the cellular levels. Cell, tissues, organs, organ systems, and all the organ systems working together make the organism. So we're talking about the different organ systems in the human body. What you need to write down for each system: the name of the system, the main purpose or the main function of that whole system, and then you're going to write down some main structures of the system and the jobs of those structures, okay, or the functions of those structures. So at any time I go a little too fast for you, you can always pause it and you can always go back a little bit. You know, that's the good thing about having this on video, is that you can pause it and go back as much as you want, okay? Just make sure that your notes are complete and you have all the information for all of these body systems. All right, the first body system is the skeletal system. The main function of the skeletal system is to support the body, to help it stand upright, protect vital organs such as the brain and the heart and the lungs, make blood cells, and it works with the muscular system for movement. So, some main structures of the skeletal system. We have bone marrow. And the bone marrow's function, it's the soft part inside of bones that make blood cells. Our blood cells come from inside the bones. Excuse me. Our skull, it helps to protect the brain. The ribs, or the rib cage, helps to protect our lungs. These are vital organs, vital meaning we can't live without them. Okay? It also helps to protect our heart. Your backbone, or your vertebrae, is to help protect your spinal cord. The spinal cord is a bundle of nerves that goes all the way up your back, up to the base of your skull. Okay, and then we have cartilage. This is the cartilage right here. Cartilage acts as a cushioning between the bones so they don't rub against each other. Okay. And then we also have ligaments. They hold bones together. Okay, so they connect bone to bone. Okay, so the muscular system is next. The main function, the main job of the muscular system is movement of the body and movement of inside processes inside the body. So some main structures are tendons, which connect skeletal muscles to the bones. Skeletal muscles, they help the body move by contracting and relaxing, and these are voluntary. That means you can control them. Okay? Skeletal muscles, this is what's connected to the bones by tendons. Okay? Smooth muscles. Smooth muscles are mostly the digestive organs and other structures. Our bladder is made of smooth muscles, and these muscles are involuntary. That means we don't control them. Okay? They do what they need to do all on their own. And then cardiac muscle. These are the 3 types of muscles. These are the types of muscles that make up our heart, and these are special cells that contract, okay, in unison with each other, which help our heart beat. Okay. So here we have a picture of pictures of the different types of muscles. Okay, we have cardiac muscles, skeletal muscles, skeletal as in it works with the skeletal system. Okay, and then we have our smooth muscles, mostly digestive and the bladder and some other organs too. Okay, circulatory system. The main function of the circulatory system, is to transport material throughout the body. If I were to circulate through the classroom, I would be walking through the classroom. I would be walking through it, circulating. Your blood is circulating all through the body, okay, transporting things all the time. So some of the main structures, blood vessels. Blood vessels are tube-like structures all throughout your body. All throughout. They're like little straws all over throughout your body. Your heart, it's a pump to make sure that the blood keeps moving. Every time your heart pumps, your blood moves. Every time your heart pumps, it pumps, your blood moves. What is your blood? Well, this is the liquidy part that's inside these tubes. There's some solid parts and some liquid parts. Your blood is actually made up of 4 different things, but it helps to transport materials. So when you're breathing in, let's say, and you're bringing in oxygen into your body, your blood is actually what takes it and transports it to where it needs to go. Respiratory system. The main function of the respiratory system is to bring oxygen into the body every time you inhale and take out carbon dioxide every time you exhale. Some main structures, the trachea or your windpipe. You can feel it if you put your hand on your neck right here. You can feel that it's bumpy, okay? And you're feeling these ridges right here. And that helps to keep your trachea stable. Because if you were to look down, you wouldn't want it to be like a water hose and bend and then kink up when you look. Then we have our lungs. So the air that you're breathing in goes down your trachea and into one of your 2 lungs. Okay? And inside your lungs, they're not empty like balloons. They're not empty. They're actually full of branch-like structures called bronchioles. Okay? They kind of branch off like tree limbs. Okay? And they get smaller and smaller and smaller the further out they go. Okay? And this lets the gases flow through down the trachea into the lungs. And at the very tips, the very edges of these bronchioles, you'll find alveoli. These tiny little air sacs that the air that you're breathing in, it goes into those sacs. Okay? There are air sacs at the end of the bronchioles where gases are exchanged. And once the gases are inside these little air sacs, then they're covered with capillaries. And so the oxygen, the air that you're breathing in has a lot of different gases in it. Okay? But our body only needs the oxygen out of it. So the oxygen will go into the bloodstream from there. Okay? Tiny blood vessels that surround the alveoli, these are called capillaries, where oxygen is brought into the blood and carbon dioxide is taken out of the blood. So this is the part where there's carbon dioxide in the blood here, and then it's going to go in to the air sac and then work its way backwards, okay, into the bronchioles, okay, in the lung, up the trachea, then you breathe out. The endocrine system. The main function is to make and send out hormones that help keep the body in homeostasis. Homeostasis is when your body is at balance, okay? If you were to get a fever, your body's out of balance. Your body's out of homeostasis. So your body does something to help it bring it back to homeostasis. So when you have a fever, usually you sweat. And that's your body's way of cooling off. Homeostasis, it's balanced, okay? And your hormones play a big role in that. Glands. Glands are organs that produce hormones that travel to different parts of the body through the bloodstream. Okay, so hormones are made. They're chemical messages that tell the body what to do, like when to grow, when to prepare for a stressful moment, adrenaline, when to sleep. There's a hormone for sleep, melatonin. And so these glands make the hormone and release it into the bloodstream, and then it travels all through the blood vessels and goes where it needs to go. The nervous system. The main function is it receives messages from the environment, and then it sends out electrical responses. The main structure is your brain. Yes, that's a picture of a real brain being held by a person. Your brain is the organ that receives and sends out messages. It's the control center. Then we have the spinal cord that attaches to the base of the brain and runs down along your back, the middle of your back. Okay, so the spinal cord is a column of nerve tissue that connects to the base of the brain and then goes down the center of your back. And then lastly, we have nerves. Nerves are a bundle of nerve cells that send electrical impulses towards the brain and away from the brain. They're little information highways. The digestive system. The main function is to break down food into small molecules that your body can use. When we eat a hamburger, we're chewing it and we swallow it, nothing is small enough to where our body can use it. Everything's too big. Nothing can fit inside of a cell membrane to get into the cell so our body can use anything. So our body has to break down the food into smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller pieces, small enough to where the nutrients, the tiny pieces, can get into through the cell membrane. If you guys remember from our cells unit, the cell membrane is semi-permeable. That means things can go in and out of it. Only certain things though. And so the body has to break down food so small to where it can fit through those little openings in the cell membrane. Some main structures of the digestive system, we have salivary glands. Before the food even reaches your mouth, when you smell it, your salivary glands start working. You know, you're looking at that hamburger, it's coming towards you, you start making saliva. It's because your body's trying to prepare itself for digesting some food. Your salivary glands make enzymes in your saliva that breaks down starches. So as soon as your saliva touches the food, it starts to break down starchy foods. That's a big reason why you're not really supposed to be drinking out of milk cartons and things like that, because your saliva is there and it's already starting to break down some things around it, the edge of it. So after you swallow, your food goes down the esophagus. Your esophagus is a muscular tube that actually pushes the food along. Your food, right when you swallow, it doesn't free fall into the stomach. It doesn't do that. The esophagus pushes it along. Then when it reaches into your stomach, there are digestive juices that break down the food even further. Very strong acid. There's more enzymes. Your food is being broken down into smaller pieces still. Then we have our liver and pancreas. These are like the next door neighbors that like to help out. Okay? The liver makes bile, which is something that helps to break down fats. And then our pancreas makes enzymes to help break down fats and starches and proteins. Everything's kind of helping out to make that food smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay? Then it goes into the small intestine. Everything's pretty much broken down by then. Okay? So then it fits nicely into the small intestine. And it's not called the small intestine because of how... It's not really. It's very, very long, actually. The small intestine is very, very long. But the reason why it's called the small intestine is because the opening is very small. Okay? So by this point, your food is very, very liquidy. And the job of the small intestine is to absorb all the nutrients. Now, at this point, everything's broken down small enough to where the nutrients can get into the bloodstream and they get to good nutrients to them. Then we have the large intestine. So as soon as the small intestine is done taking all the good stuff out of your food, whatever is left over, it's still pretty watery, so it gets into the large intestine. It goes from the small into the large, and as it moves through the large intestine, all of the extra water is being sucked back into the body, so we can use it because we need water. All of that extra water is getting absorbed back into the body, and so by the time it makes it down to its ending point, it's not liquidy anymore, and we excrete it. We get rid of it. We flush it away. So a little bit more about the digestive system. I want to talk about the different types of digestion. We have physical or mechanical digestion, as in physical change. You remember physical change back in 6th grade, where we're not changing the substance, we're just changing its size and shape. And so when our teeth break down food, we're making it into smaller pieces like that. And then when the food goes into the stomach churns, it actually moves. So it's kind of moving your food around a little bit. That's all physical or mechanical digestion, okay? And then we have chemical digestion. Now, if you remember the difference between physical change and chemical change means that you're starting off with something, and then a chemical reaction happens, and then there's something new and different. So that's what this is. A chemical change is something, or chemical digestion, it's turning into something different. And what does that are enzymes. We have different enzymes that break apart these large molecules and break them down into very small molecules, small enough to where our bodies can use them. For an example, big, large protein molecules are broken down into what we call amino acids. Carbohydrates are broken down into sugars. Fats are broken down into fatty acids. And when they're in these smaller states, the body can actually use them. Okay, integumentary system, which is our skin. Okay, the main function of the integumentary system is to protect our body from injury, infection, and from UV rays. Those are the dangerous rays from the sun. And it also helps to maintain our body temperature. So some of the main structures of the integumentary system are sweat glands. Sweat is released to cool down the body. Oil glands, or sebaceous glands. Oil is released to help keep the skin from cracking and drying out. Okay. Hair follicles. This is the little tiny holes in our skin where the hair is anchored. Melanin, that is the pigment that gives us our skin color, but that's also something that helps protect us from UV rays. Okay. So here's a picture of some of the things that we talked about. Here's the hair follicle. It anchors down the hair. We have a sebaceous gland here that's an oil gland. The oil will come up here and it keeps our skin soft and it keeps it from drying out. Sometimes during your preteen and teen years, our sebaceous glands get kind of confused on how much oil to send out, and then sometimes that's why we get acne during the puberty stage. Sweat gland right here. Okay. Excretory system. EX as in exit, to leave. Okay, we want things to leave the body. So this is the excretory system. Think of exit. Rid the body of waste. We want it gone. Okay. Some main structures are the skin, the excretory system. Skin. Sweat comes out of small holes called pores on your skin. And if you look close enough, you'll see these little tiny holes. The sweat contains excess salt from the body. Extra salt that our body doesn't need. Our lungs are a part of the excretory system because it helps to rid our body of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is toxic to our body. Okay. And then we have the kidneys. Okay, these guys right here, kidneys. The kidneys filter the blood. Our blood has to be cleaned out somehow, and so the kidneys have this very, very important job. The blood goes into the kidneys, and all the garbage is filtered out of it and sent down the ureters and into the bladder. And then when the bladder gets to a certain fullness, then you feel that urge to go potty, and then you release all of that waste product. The reproductive system. Okay, so the main goal is to create offspring. There's ovaries for the female reproductive organs that they store and release sex cells called eggs. This gland also works for the endocrine system. You probably saw this in the endocrine system. Testes are the male reproductive organ that store and release sex cells called sperm. This gland also works for the endocrine system. So those are the 10 systems. Okay, if you need to go back and write a little more notes on some of them, please do so. Thank you guys for watching.